In the heart of spiritual and political upheaval, when religious persecution and corrupt leadership stirred unrest in the soul of society, a shaman emerged, not dressed in feathers or wielding drums, but clothed in quill and cloak, whispering sacred truths from a stage. That shaman was William Shakespeare. Shaman are more than mystics or medicine people. They are storytellers, guardians of ancestral knowledge passed through oral traditions and parables. A parable is not simply a tale. It is a living, breathing lesson. One story may hold many teachings, each awakening a different truth in the listener. This is how shaman have always healed, through layered stories that bypass resistance and speak directly to the soul. Shakespeare's plays were not merely entertainment. They were spiritual medicine delivered in disguise. At a time when England was divided by religious dogma, and those clinging to ancient ways were labeled heretics, Shakespeare used theater as his sacred altar. He told stories that were older than the crown, older than the Church of England, and older than the names given to the divine. He brought pagan myths, classical legends, and archetypal truths back into circulation, encoded with moral lessons about power, truth, balance, and human nature. Several of Shakespeare's plays were retellings of older tales, a hallmark of shamanic tradition. Macbeth, rooted in ancient Celtic lore, explores the spiritual consequences of ambition and imbalance. The witches, often misunderstood, serve as truth bringers, not evil but elemental, guiding Macbeth toward choices that reflect his inner corruption. A Midsummer Night's Dream calls on the old world spirits, fairies, nature beings, and dream worlds, to remind audiences of the thin veil between realms. It is a play about love, illusion, and harmony with the natural world, echoing animist teachings long forgotten. King Lear exposes the devastation caused by pride, betrayal, and the abandonment of natural order, reminding us that the divine law is higher than the king's law. The Tempest is practically a shamanic initiation. Prospero, a magician exiled to a remote island, learns to relinquish control and embrace forgiveness, a journey from revenge to reconciliation. Ariel, the spirit helper, represents the unseen forces shaman often work with. Shakespeare faced backlash in his time, not just for his success, but because he dared to speak the old truths. He disguised ancient teachings in a form that was palatable to the masses, protected from censorship by cloaking it in theater. But his messages were clear to those with ears to hear. He wrote during a time when spiritual teachers were persecuted, when old ways were forbidden, and when the soul of the population cried out for balance. His healing mission was to revive the stories of our ancestors, to breathe life back into universal truths during a time of deep collective wounding. 400 years later, his words still echo. We study Shakespeare not just because of his poetic mastery, but because his plays speak to the human soul. They expose our shadow, reflect our divinity, and remind us of the delicate balance between personal will and cosmic law. In a time when truth is once again veiled by division, propaganda, and power struggles, we can look back and see Shakespeare for what he truly was, a literal shaman, healing the collective through the power of the spoken word.